What's going on, everybody? My name's Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel, and today I'm going to do my final modification to the TS195 by Twosun, and that is just going to be installing some Skiff bearings, some rocket glide bearings in it. I've got two sizes here. I ordered a bunch from Skiff. I can't find any documentation on what size this takes, but it should be one of these two from what I have found. I'm pretty sure it's this 1/4 inch 1/16 13 ball. So see if this improves the action at all. So let's jump right in and take it apart. Alright, that was T8 if I remember correctly. I should have done this when I was anodizing it, but I actually forgot all about it. I already had the bearings too. Took this thing apart many times to change the colors, and could have done this so many different times. But oh well, we'll take it apart one more time. This one's kind of a pain too, with it being an integral. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get it apart. But now that I've done it so many times, it's gotten a little easier. And one thing that I've found that makes it much easier, just to keep the lock bar pried open. And here's the part right here, is when you take the pivot out, there we go, the bearings move around in there, and it sometimes be difficult to get the blade out. I'm about out of there now. Yeah, the bearing is in between the blade and the frame. There we go. There's that other bearing. There's a washer down in there also. Alright, so these are the bearings we will be replacing. And these are 9 ball bearings, I think. And these new rocket glides are 13 balls. Should improve the action quite a bit on this knife. These are pretty much the standard bearings Twosun uses on all their knives. I'm also going to be replacing the bearings in the Twosun TS129 I have. I think it's got really good action already. This action on this isn't bad. I just want to see if I can make it better. And actually, out of all my Twosuns, this one right here has the best action, the TS301. I won't be replacing it. It is drop shotty as can be. Alright, let's pull out our Pro Shot lubricant here. Get some lubricant on our doodad. Alright. This thing doesn't need to be cleaned again. I don't need to clean anything. I haven't really used it much at all. I haven't used it at all since I anodized it, so. Alright. Put our pivot in here. Let me get this under the camera where you guys can actually see it. So I don't know how much of that you actually saw. My bad. Actually, let's turn the camera down a little bit. There we go. There we go. So, pivot's out. With this integral, you put the pivot back in. Sometimes that washer will fall out. If it does, after you put the pivot in, drop that washer down there, and you drop your bearing down there. Actually, before I go any further, let's just do a comparison here. Pretty sure this is the right size, but I just want to check. Yeah, those are perfectly even. Because it could be the 5mm instead of the 1/4 inch, but pretty sure the 1/4 inch is what I'm supposed to use on this. So, alright, and we'll put these bearings back in the box the knife came in, so don't lose it. Put a little bit of lubricant on that bearing. Spin it around a little bit. Alright, now the tricky part. So now, this is where this comes in very handy in my opinion. Works much better if you can wedge that lock bar open up like that. It's got a stop in it, so you're not going to take it too far. Then you got to drop this pivot back down enough to get that blade over the top, and then bring the pivot back up through there. There we go. Now we will want to drop our next bearing in. Get a little more lubricant on the doodad. Alright. When I first disassembled this thing, I was super intimidated because it was an integral. I was like, man, I'm not sure what to do. But now that I've done it a few times, I really like the integral design. It's actually fairly simple to work on and to clean. Alright. Let's see if we got any. I think I got that pivot too tight right there. I can feel it's too tight. How's our centering? Yeah. It's too tight. There we go. Get that lubricant moving around on those bearings. Still pretty tight. Let's go back a little bit more. Actually, I need to, what am I doing? It's time to Loctite this thing. I'm done. I won't be disassembling it any time again in the near future, so glad I thought about that before I get it all set where I like it. Just going to Loctite it just a little bit, and then this will stay and not get touched for 24 hours after I get it, the pivot adjusted where I want it. No blade play there. Still kind of tight. No movement. We are not centered though, so you can tell we are way off center. So let's bring that over to the center. That looks good right there. I did not put any lubricant in my detent hole, but kind of a pro and a con with this knife. When the blade's open, the detent hole is slightly exposed. A little more than I wanted, so I can still get to it here. And most of the track. And then it'll spread out on the rest from there. It's kind of a good thing. Makes it easy to do, but I'd rather not see it. Alright, we centered. Not quite centered. Let's go a little bit more here. There we go. That's it. Skiff bearings installed. We'll set this down and won't touch that one for 24 hours. And let's go ahead and do the TS129 while we're at it. Alright, since I'm here, it went pretty quickly. I don't have to do it later. Let's just get it done. Let's just get her done. Alright. Been thinking about anodizing this thing, or at least anodizing the backspacer and the pocket clip. What colors do you think? It would be the same color, obviously. I'd want them to match the backspacer and the pocket clip, but you know, I think I like bronze, especially with the carbon fiber on the other side. This one could use a cleaning while I'm in here, which we will do. I've carried this one a lot, and you can see it. You can clearly see it. That blade is filthy. Still smooth as can be though, even with it that filthy. This thing really doesn't need new bearings. I just want to see how much the Skiffs will improve it. Because it's like, I know you've heard people say it has like a, almost like knives have like almost a hydraulic filling to them when they're closing. That's how this one feels. This thing feels great. A little more rubbing alcohol in here. That's more than I wanted. That's okay though. Out of all the Twosun knives I have, and I have had, this is the one I recommend the most. This is, I mean, 130 bucks you can pick this knife up, and it is fantastic, man. It feels like a much more expensive knife. Better action than any knife I have, honestly. It really does. It's fantastic. Let's get that washer cleaned up there. Stop pin track, internal stop pins. That probably has a lot to do with the action also and why it's so good. Yeah, what color do you guys think I should do the back spacer and the pocket clip? Look at the carbon fiber. What do you think would look best? I don't know. I've been debating. I'll do something a little different this time. This is rubbing alcohol again, just to try to wipe down that track. Also want to get in the detent hole with the rubbing alcohol. Yeah, it's pretty dirty in the detent hole. Alright, let's see if these are the same size here. Pretty sure they're exactly the same. Yeah, they are. Alright, so another set of those. I got 5mm in here too. Don't want 5mm. That's what we want right there. There you go. Get in there, stay in there. Alright, which one of these was? That's the rubbing alcohol. I'm gonna mix those up. Alright, I'm gonna put a little bit in this track also, a little lubricant. Get it all around the pivot. Alright. Alrighty. It's way more than I wanted. I'll wipe some of that off for sure. On the detent track. There we go. All right. Another great thing about Twosun knives, they are very, very easy to work on. Get that lock bar pressed on the blade. Oh shit. Thought that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. Stay in there. There we go. Try this again. Take two. I'm not going to Loctite this one because, like I said, I'm probably going to anodize that back spacer and the pocket clip at some point, so no point in putting Loctite on there. Two screws, all you got to take out, disassemble this thing, the pivot screw and one of the frame screws back here. Very simple to work on. Alright, how close are we to centered? Wow, we are centered. Ooh, drastic improvement there. Ooh, you gotta be careful with this one now. No blade play at all. Look at this. Alright, and I got it pivot pretty tight right now, so maybe too tight. Let's go back a hair. You're still centered there. Oh yeah, she's a guillotine now. So much so I'm scared. Get my thumb out of the way because that thing will come down and get you right in the thumb. Alright, that went pretty well. Let's clean off that blade real quick. This one's a fingerprint magnet for sure. Alright guys, that's going to do it. Two Twosuns, bearing swaps, and yeah, fairly simple. Both very easy to work on. And I don't want to fidget with this one much because I Loctited it, so I'll update on Instagram how much it improved the action. I can feel a slight improvement initially, but we'll see how it does longer term. This one never did quite have action as good as this one does though, so I doubt it will get to that level. But this one I felt immediate improvement. So before it was more of a hydraulic, you got to barely shake it shut, and you don't have to shake it shut at all now. It literally dropped shut now. Once it passes that detent. Ooh, don't get my thumb. Yeah, very good. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys on the next one.